This will tell you how far we go back. New American Mortgage, right?
New American.
Right? And all of a sudden I go, you told me.
Industry secret, Casey. That's an industry secret.
I know. No, you want to sort of give, how did you come up with the name Movement Mortgage, and what is it? And what does it mean?
So you mentioned New American. And it's funny because there's obviously a big company in the U.S. now named New American Funding. In 2008, there was two little companies that had never heard of one another. New American Funding was over in California, and I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and went, what's a name that sounds a lot bigger than what we are? Because I want people to, like I said, there were 4 employees. I was like, so we have to sound at least a little bigger than who we are. I said, New American Mortgage. That's like America. I mean, what's bigger than America, right? It's new. It's not that old thing. It's this new thing.
Oh my goodness.
So we were new until, we bumped into each other in a state or something. They kind of grew. We were growing, and they had the name years before we did. And they wrote me a letter just saying, hey, and let me know that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let us go change our name. We're for sure, we were newer and you guys had the name first and whatnot. So then, I started kind of praying, okay, what is this name? What is this name that's going to describe who it is we are? And it was actually a really cool opportunity, like 3 or 4 years into the business, to get to reframe who we are and who we wanted to be in the space. And I said, fundamentally, I was sitting in church actually. And I said, I looked over at my wife. I have this, Casey, I have a half Cuban, half Italian wife from New Jersey who's also an attorney. And I win very few, exactly 0 arguments in my household. Okay, I try. Somehow it's like beating my head again. I still will try, but I just don't win these arguments. But I looked over at her in church and said, babe, I think I'm going to call the company Movement Mortgage, because we're going to be this movement of change, and we're about being a movement. We're not about staying where we are. We're about taking things from where they are to where we think they should be. And man, we're going to be a movement of change in people's lives, our customers' lives, and in our teammates' lives, and in the lives of the communities that we're a part of. It's going to be this big, beautiful thing. And man, we're going to exist to love and value people and be this whole movement that's bigger than ourselves. It actually sweeps throughout the industry and really around the world and reframes what companies should be about. And I'm giving her this really impassioned speech, right? And she looks at me and she goes, I hate it. It sounds like bowel movement. And like, my whole, I was so fired up. And I literally, out of defense, I got a protection for my own little baby dream that I was holding on to. I said, well, I think God wants me to name it that. So, and I just kind of went and didn't speak to her, the rest of the service. And she goes, well, you pray about it and see what you get, whatever, kind of making fun of me. And we literally went into church the next week, sat down, and on the screen, the whole thing is lit up. It just says Movement of Change. And I looked over at Michelle, and she just goes, come on, no. And that still is the only argument I've ever won in my household, and God had to be the final word. So short of that, I think we're still not named Movement Mortgage, but I had it confirmed for me across the board, and she agreed. So we rocked and rolled with it. It's been so neat since. And really, it's just a perfect name for us in so many ways, because we're about a lot more than mortgages. I mean, we are absolutely about excellence in mortgage. And I think we do them better than anybody in the United States. I think the people that are served by our loan officers are served by the best, with an amazing process. And man, we want to have a purpose that's greater than just a mortgage. We want to be about impacting lives in deep and meaningful ways and transformative ways. And we want to be about taking our profits and reinvesting it into our communities in really meaningful ways, which is now why we have not just Movement Mortgage, but Movement Bank. We have Movement Schools. We're opening our 3rd Title I charter school. That's free public charter schools in really tough areas of town. We have Movement Health Clinic, and we have a Movement Affordable Housing Project. So it is a name that is much larger than just the mortgage company.
Well, listen, you certainly are a movement of change, and certainly when I remember you telling me about the story, and I loved it, by the way, and I'm sort of glad now the sort of large knows that your wife, who is of similar descent as me, lost one argument with you, but God had to do it. All right, so let me just ask you a sort of a quick final question, if you don't mind. Yep. Where will movement be 5 years from now? What do you want people to say about movement 5 years from now?
Yeah. So again, I think this gets into the fact that we're a company that's a lot broader than just mortgages. On a 10 years ago, I might have thrown out a stat. I might have thrown out a mortgage stat and said, oh, it's this much volume or this much I think right now, what I'm going to say is, man, what I'm much more passionate about is that we deeply and fully live into our mission of being a movement of change. And that, yeah, we're going to grow. I mean, I think healthy things grow. And so we will grow because we're going to be a healthy community organization. But I think it's going to be multifaceted growth. You know, our mortgage company is going to grow for sure. But we've had the privilege of building 230 Hope Centers in South and Central America. And I think I'd love to see that become 1,000. We have 3 schools right now that are open. We're looking for locations for 2 more. We have a plan to build 100 in the next 20 years. We'd like to see that impact grow, the movement in education. We have we have 2 health centers right now that are serving the urban poor. We'd like to see 15 or 20 of those in different troubled neighborhoods across the United States. We have a movement bank right now that's a $50 million bank with a 100-year-old legacy. It's the second oldest Black-owned bank in America. It was founded at a time in the rural South under Jim Crow laws when Blacks were explicitly being denied access to credit. It was founded in the basement of a church to make sure that community would receive access to credit. We want to see that bank grow over the next 5 years and continue to live out its 100-year-old legacy of mission of loving and serving the most marginalized in communities. So, our growth will certainly happen in the mortgage industry, but I know a lot of folks are going to be listening to this are in the mortgage industry, but our growth is much broader than the mortgage industry. And we want to impact people's lives that are in our company in much deeper ways than just throwing out some kind of surface stat of this many loans we're going to do. Because, at the end of the day, I won't pick on any names, but we can all think about companies that prior to the Great Recession did a whole lot of mortgages.
Yes.
And they did a whole lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole lot of economic violence, I think, perpetrated against a lot of innocent folks, frankly. And some of that was in the form of the way those mortgages were repackaged and sold to folks that didn't understand what they're buying. And some of it was just, I think there's mutual culpability and some really bad products that people were given. And so I'd never want to say, hey, our impact or where we are is simply a number, because that's kind of neutral. It's really about like, hey, have we loved and valued people? Have we worked in people's long-term best interest? Have we improved the communities that we're a part of and the lives that we're impacting? And I hope that's our more lasting legacy than just a number.
Listen, that is definitely a legacy. I've had the privilege, Casey, of being with you and your leaders in some very private meetings. And I've got to share that the legacy that you're leaving as a leader is one that's empowering and loving and serving your guys. And I just want to applaud you for your leadership skills. I know that God's gifted you and you're using that to serve him well. And so thank you for this time together, and God bless you. And we'll be in touch again very soon. I'm looking forward to sharing this with the nation at large to hear who is Casey Crawford and who's Movement Mortgage.
Well, if they're on your page, Casey, they already know who you are, but let me just say that you're one of those people that I am so thankful for that God brought into my life and has been on this journey with me for the last decade. And truly, I said, the joy's on the journey. I mean, the journey's made up of the people you're on it with. And you've been one of those people. So it is always great to spend time with you. And you have a huge fan cheering on you and XINNIX, the incredible work that you guys are doing in and through our industry. So thank you for all that you've done.
God bless you. Thank you again for your time, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
All right.
You're awesome. You know that, right? You know that, right?
Thanks so much, Casey. That was super fun.
That was super awesome. I loved your daughter. So you can go play that for them. Hey, is Daddy?
Man, I know. They are truly. That's why this COVID thing has been such a gift, though, Case. Like my oldest is like 14 like yours, going to high school. I'm like, I've had 6 months with this kid who is so cool, so fun, sweetest kid. We just got her 2 new baby goats. Like she's just an awesome kid to hang out with. And like, but if apart from these 3 months of absolute lockdown, she's doing normal kid stuff, right? She's playing volleyball, she's with her friends, she's doing all this. And I joke every day, I was like, I love COVID. I get to hang out with you every day.
They have to, and they're like, they can't go anywhere.
No choice. They're like, her and her little sister are watching the Rocky series right now. So
God's in the middle of all of this right now.
No doubt.
Giving us so many blessings. I'm praying for all those kids that you have in the school and the ones that don't have the privileges of these homes that we have and the families we have. So God bless you for your work, but we'll be in touch. All right.
Thanks, Case.
Hey, thank you, man. Take care.
See you.
Bye.